Hey, listen up. We got another episode of Cracks, featuring the crack man himself, Bill Krackenberger, and our co-host, John Orlando, straight from Las Vegas. Cracks is your ticket inside the world of sports betting, with tips, picks, special guests, and more. Only on WSN.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wisecracks episode 100. I can't even believe this is a 100th episode, Crack. This is crazy, and we got a big guest today. This is an appropriate guest for the 100th show. Cayce Kerr is going to join us and talk about all the golf stuff going on.
It is, because we have a big week this week with a major, but I'm not going to say even. Yeah, it is. It is even bigger. It's this LIV tour and what's going on with. It's the shark, Greg Norman. He's the boss over there, and he is trying to get as many tour pros away from the PGA Tour. And we'll have Cayce on to answer some questions and some interesting look he has an insight into what he feels is going on. But not only what he feels, he has been around these guys. So he's been around the PGA Tour for 30 years, caddying, and more than that, even 40 years. So that should be fun.
All right, but before we get into all of that, let's talk about big topic number one. Joe Maddon last week shaved his head down to a mohawk in hopes to snap the Angels' terrible losing streak, and he got fired the same day, Crack.
Wow. Amazing that here you have a guy that, as we talked before the show, this guy won the World Series with the Cubs, and here they're firing him before the All-Star break. So I think Joe will be okay. He'll get picked up by someone else. And it's just a shame that he just had to shave his head like that, not even knowing that this was coming. So I kind of feel bad for Joe, because he's a nice guy. I know people that know him, and he's a really nice guy.
He's known for doing fun things like that. Like I remember he made, I think, the Cubs all dress in pajamas on a travel day once or something. Like he does fun stuff to shake things up.
He does fun stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So we wish him well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, big topic number two. This is a huge topic for me. Ronda Rousey has mentioned that maybe Gina Carano, I don't know if you remember, Gina Carano was like one of the first famous female MMA fighters. She had she had a big fight with Cyborg back in the day. But Gina Carano never fought in the UFC. Crazy. And so now they're talking about maybe Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano. If Ronda was to return to an MMA fight, Dana White must be drooling over this one.
John, aren't they past their primes?
They are, but a perfect example, and we'll talk about this later in the show, but Glover Teixeira, is 40-something years, 42 years old, 43 years old, and still competing at a high level. So Ronda's not that old. And there's something to be said about they haven't been taking damage for the last however many years. They've both been retired. Gina's obviously been out of the fight game for a long time. But I think the people would love to see that fight. I know I would. So,
John, that type of fight, that'll be a really, really big fight for them, a big fight for the fans, and a 7-figure payday, $1 million each, something like that?
It's gotta be. I think it would probably be Ronda's biggest fight, like pay-per-view wise. I think it would. Gina's got a huge fan base. I think it would help cross over a lot of new fans, because there's a lot of fans of Gina's that don't even know her as a fighter. They know her as Mandalorian, and then she parted from that show. It was very controversial. So I think this would be a really, really big fight. I know I would definitely want to go.
Cool. All right, that'll be fun.
All right, big topic number 3, Crack. Floyd Mayweather has booked, I don't like this, man. He's booked another exhibition boxing match. I get it. It's a big money grab for him. He's fighting a Japanese MMA fighter that I've never heard of, Mikuru Asakura. Why do they do these fights? I mean, I guess the obvious reason is money, right? I mean, hats off to Floyd.
Let's think about this now. Why would Floyd do something like this? I would think that maybe he doesn't have the money we all think he has. I don't know. Like, why would he risk himself? This guy supposedly has hundreds of millions of dollars, or is he just trying to remain relative again and misses that spotlight on him? I don't know, because you want to put your spotlight on. You want to make $100 million.
Right.
Fight Canelo again.
It's
Fight
win-win
Canelo
for
again.
Floyd. You get a bunch of money, and if you lose, it doesn't go against your record, right?
Yeah, it doesn't go against your record.
It's win-win for him. So, I mean, I guess who am I to say why shouldn't he go make another $100 million or whatever?
Stuff. I don't know who. I just don't know where the money comes from to give Floyd like this. Like, who's going to watch it? Who's going to care? It's,
Do you think he would ever do things like this to make some of the, let's say, executive team on his team some money? Does he think like that? Like, all right, like, like his manager probably, I'm sure, gets commission, right? Like, does he care about that? Like, yeah, I'll do it for you. Yeah, I'll make you guys a little extra money, make the camp a little more money. Does he not even think like that?
I think he's trying to make the camp some money. Possibly, his manager, and the name escapes me, even though I ran into him yesterday. It's pretty embarrassing. Leonard Ellerby.
Yeah.
So Leonard Ellerby yesterday, I seen him over in Turnberry, and I really should have asked him about it. I have his phone number and stuff, so maybe we'll see if we can get him on the show.
Oh wow, that'd be big. He's been over here to Sticky Paws, not on one of my shows, but on one of the boxing shows here.
Most guys that are in the management position and they're making good money, they don't usually want to talk and say anything wrong to mess up their pay and get the boss and mad at them. So it might be a tough get that Floyd's still making money and Leonard, I'm sure, is making some money with that. But you know what? Don't be surprised though by this. So back when Floyd's making like $100 million for a fight, I don't know if he gives the 10% to his manager, 10% to his trainer. I think it's more of a flat fee. So
interesting.
Making $100 million, he's supposed to give $10 million to the trainer.
Right.
Floyd ain't giving no $10 million to a trainer. He's giving them maybe a flat fee of $300,000 or so. I mean, it just doesn't. I don't think Floyd was giving the percentages of them. So
Leonard gets his cut though, right? Leonard definitely gets his cut.
I wouldn't think 10%. I wouldn't think what other fighters give 10% to their managers, and I would doubt that Leonard's getting that.
More things that make boxing
Floyd's a good businessman.
Is that a good business practice, though?
Well, excuse me. What'll happen is they'll say, "Well, what's the biggest manager of any boxer get?" And then they'll think, "Okay, well, this guy got $5 million for a fight or $7 million for a fight. He gives him $700,000. Well, Floyd's getting $100 million, but he'll still give him the $500 or $700,000.
Right.
So, and really, the right number is $10 million.
Yeah.
But Floyd's like, hey, I mean, you're managing me. I'm looking at you're the top paid manager in the world still.
Right.
So there you go.
It's a good point. Okay, let's do a quick little UFC recap from last week. I don't know if you watched these fights last week. Last week's card.
I heard about them. Boy, I heard about them.
It was really great. I mean, starting with the girls, Valentina Shevchenko won a split decision. I don't know, man. If I would have bet the dog, I'd be really upset because I felt like Shevchenko lost that fight 3-2. I don't see how it was any other way.
Yeah, no. I know people that bet these two fights and they were like, I have to be careful betting these fights because there's so much stuff that goes on here. Now, John, you're going to have to help me. The fight that ended with 20 seconds left in the 5th round, is this the one we're talking about?
No. So
that was the main event.
That was the light heavyweight for the light heavyweight belt, Glover Teixeira and Prochazka. I always say it wrong. That was one of the best, arguably one of the best light heavyweight fights, or just fights, period. Back and forth, absolute war. And he was able to get Glover down the stretch with 20 seconds left. Really exciting fight. Bloody.
If you bet go to distance, you're sick.
Yeah, you're sick because, I mean, all roads were pointing to that fight was going the distance until it didn't. That's what makes MMA so exciting.
The loser of the fight, was he winning on some cards or no?
Yeah, I think so.
Or no, was he? Wow, that's what I thought I heard. So
yeah, it was a good fight. I mean, it was like I said last week, I used to bet against Glover, and I stopped doing it because this guy just finds a way to win every time. And it looked like he was doing the same thing last week. I did not think it was going to be as competitive as it was. I really didn't. It shows you how good he is at 42 or 43, whatever he is. It's crazy. Old man's got some gas in the tank. I call him old man. I'm older, but Also, this Saturday night, Crack, our dear friend Julian Marquez gets back in the cage.
Oh, yeah.
And against Gregory Rodriguez. And this guy is no joke. He's a big dude, and he is a striker. He's very well-rounded. I think he's got 11 wins, and I think half are pretty much by knockout, half are by submission, or close to that. He's known for volume. He's a volume striker. I want to say like 4-point-something strikes per minute, which is high. Julian's high, too, in that category. So this should be a slugfest. This should be great. Our boy Julian is actually the underdog, which always makes me happy because I like when my friends are the dog, so you can try to make a little money on him.
Yeah, he's plus like 160. Yeah. So it should be interesting. We're rooting for him.
Yeah,
and hopefully he comes through, and maybe we'll have him on next week.
Yeah, for sure. He's in great shape too. I've been watching him on Instagram. I leave him alone when he's in camp. I don't really text him too much. He'll occasionally text me and tell me how bad the Dodgers are because he bets. And so it's been rough this last 10 days betting on the Dodgers. Sure. I think they've been losing, but yeah, it's okay. All right, Bill, I have a question for you. I want your take on same-game parlays. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about this.
They're advertised everywhere.
Yeah.
God, they're all over Twitter. All the spokesmen, people talk about the same-game parlays. And listen, if they're hanging or dangling a carrot for you constantly, literally constantly talking about the same game, dangling that little carrot for you, trust me, it's probably in their favor. Very big in their favor. And here, when I hear same game parlays, I come from the advantage sports betting world where I know a same game parlay being a correlated same game parlay. So maybe the first half, of a college game, laying 14 points and going over 28, which would be correlated. You already have 14. If you're going to win the 14, you have a better chance to win the over than the under. That is something a lot of sports books don't allow, which is a great bet to make, by the way. You don't have to know anything. It's just simple math. Favor and over, or you can even go dog and under. I tend to go favorite and over on the bigger offensive teams, though. But that's something a lot of the sports books don't take. So now they advertise these same game parlays. Well, the same game parlays that they offer you you're going to be, the word penalized is strong, but you're going to not get the true odds because they already put the math in it to pay out in their favor to a double-digit percentage. These things are 10, 20, even higher percentage hold for the sports book. Now, not always, though. Some sports books will give you these, which is called an odds boost or a same-game parlay boost, which is a maximum bet of 25 or 50 bucks. It's kind of like throwing you a bone for being a good customer. Now, then you could just work out the math and actually see that some of them are in your favor. Well, listen, if they're limiting it to 25 or $50, they probably don't want a lot of volume on that. They're just trying to give you a little bonus. So keep your eye out always for those type of promotions. But the same game parlay, I stay away from. I'm not really into any of those same game parlays. I know a parlay is a disadvantage to you, the player, to begin with. So unless you're betting a game that's going to move in your favor and close in your favor, what that means is you lay 3, the closing line is now 4.5 or 5. Well, then the parlay's in your favor if you have two teams that consist of those type of games that move that way. But that's a rarity for people, unless you're following me. It's tough to get two teams that move, get them both in at the same time. But I would stay away from them. I stay away from parlays in general, unless I am betting, like I told you before. With the same game parlay, I hate to rip apart any of the sports books, but they have all these girls on there dancing and singing same game parlays during the commercials. And, just think about what you're looking at and think about, what you're seeing when you see a same game parlay. Obviously, the sports books are spending thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds, millions of dollars promoting these same game parlays. They're trying to make you bet them. If they're trying to make you bet something, forcing something down your throat, you can guarantee it's not in your favor. There you go.
Bill, as always, I'm very excited when this guy comes on the show because he just takes it to the next level. We've got Cayce Kerr on Wisecracks with us today, and we got a lot to discuss today, guys. What is going on?
Hey, Casey, what are you doing?
Cayce Kerr live from San Antonio, Texas.
Casey, who is in San Antonio? Your mom?
Oh, yeah, Ellie Mae.
Oh, good. God bless her. Sorry. God bless her heart. Let me ask you, Casey, before we get
85
into
years old.
God bless you. Before we get into questions and answers about a lot of things, let's tell the public, in case they don't know who you are. Cayce Kerr, give a quick synopsis of what you've done in your life in the golf world.
Quick synopsis. Caddied in over 1,000 tournaments around the world for 14 players that have won majors, 9 in the Hall of Fame, 7 former number 1 in the world, and had a lot of fun and stories doing it.
And you're still kind of doing it. I mean, you got your hands in so many different businesses, making money all over the place, but you are still open to.
Yeah, we're doing our best. Sorry to interrupt you. I caddied in the 80s, the 90s, 2000, 2010, and I caddied a couple weeks ago in Huntsville, Alabama. So I've caddied in 5 decades.
Wow.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That really
well,
is.
Here we're excited to have you on for this LIV tournament.
Thank you.
This live tournament. What can you tell us about this live tour? What can you tell us? It's a big hot topic, and we wanted to get your side of this.
Oh yeah, it's a big topic. Former Masters champion Charles Schwartzel, who won in 2011, was playing in the tournament last week. He won the tournament, almost $5 million, and definitely adds credibility when a Masters champion wins your tournament. Not too many people know who he is, but I remember I caddied for him once, and he did tell me a story that I thought was brilliant. I wish I could remember it all, but I can't remember it verbatim. But he birdied 15, 16, 17, and 18 to win the Masters. Now, I got to tell you something. You birdied the last 4 holes to win any tournament, you're bad to the bone. You birdied the last 4 at Augusta National on Sunday. I got to tell you something. You got what it takes to get the job done. So everyone was talking about the 5 million, and everyone said, 5 million, 5 million, and that's all they were talking about. Well, I've never seen your golf swing, but 5 million is just a lot of cash to draw it back for. So of course everybody was, watching, and the reason they talked about it is, to take it back for $5 million. Holy cow! What's that feel like? I can't even imagine.
Okay, so did the caddy get 10% of what Schwartzel made? Does he get almost $500,000 for his pocket?
I don't know what their agreement is, but I can assure you one thing. Schwartzel's an honorable man. I'm sure he took care of them. I haven't spoken to either one of them. It's pretty private on that matter, but I can assure you he was well looked after. And according to the guys that are caddying over there, one of the features of that tour is something I've never heard of before. They paid for the caddies' airfare, accommodation, and their meals the entire tournament. Now, I don't know what else there is to spend money on, but that pretty much takes care of everything. So as far as what they're doing for the guys and the girls over there is phenomenal. And the way they've been treated is just spectacular. I don't think players or caddies can get treated any nicer, any fairer, with any more quality. They don't even have to reach into their pocket. So it's just all profit. There's a lot to be said for that because, as you know, with the prices around the country with gas and everything, it's expensive to travel.
Well, that's good. And on the PGA Tour, then the caddies don't get taken care of like that, it sounds like.
Well, nothing compared to the LIV Tour. The love that they're showing the guys is ridiculous. And one thing about showing some love, if you show someone some love, a lot of times they're going to reciprocate. And there's a lot of things that caddies can do as far as help promoting the event. And the number one thing is their voice. You know, they can speak proudly about where they're at, who they're working for, how they're treated. I mean, that goes a long ways. You know as well as I do, in life, word of mouth is the best advertisement in the world.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of caddies, John Orlando has a question for you.
Yeah, sure, John.
It was a great one.
Yeah, Cayce, I was wondering, you know, I've been seeing how the PGA is saying they're going to ban any of the players that play on this tour. Do you think they're going to do the same thing with caddies?
John, I think they have their plate full currently. I can't see that being an issue at the moment, but you know, as the good attorney would say, a friend of mine was a criminal lawyer, there's only two words to answer that question, John. We'll see.
Oh, good.
Also, but I was also wondering. Oh, go ahead.
No, but as I said, they got their plate full with the players. I mean, nothing personal. The caddies, according to Tim Finchon years ago, he showed up at a caddy meeting. I almost had a heart attack, but when I heard he was showing up, I wanted to hear what he had to say. The caddies are a small, intricate part of the tour, in the words of Tim Finchon. So I can't speak on that subject, John, but as I said, they got their hands full with players.
Right.
Why open up another can of worms?
And what about
John,
the courses?
What was your next question?
What about the courses? Are they considered PGA rated courses that these guys will be playing on this tour?
You know, that's a good question. I didn't inquire about the quality of the courses, other than if you were streaming it or you got to look up the course. But I know a couple of tour officials that helped set up the course, and I spoke to them, and they said that it was a good setup. But of course, that's what they get paid to do. I mean, if they're setting up the course, they better say that. But for example, next week, or the week after, the week after the U.S. Senior Open, the LIV Tour is in Pumpkin Ridge. Phenomenal course. Then they to Jersey. They had Bedminster, where they were going to play the ladies tour. I played that course. That's an excellent course. Then Boston, and then Chicago. I don't know what either one of those courses looks like, but historically, Boston and Chicago both have great terrain, great golf courses, good superintendents. They always got nice weather. So I would say, to answer your question, without seeing them, I would say they're above average courses.
Cool. Cayce, what do you think about, why will this tour last or it won't last? What do you think? Why should it last? You have a reason why it should or shouldn't last?
Well, one of the weaknesses that this tour attacked compared to the other tour was their business model. In other words, if Bill Krackenberger is the CEO of Microsoft and he's sponsoring a tournament in Seattle, Washington, well, there's no guarantee that Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson or the top players on their tour, Rory McIlroy or Scotty Sheffield, the guy that won the Masters, however you pronounce his last name, no disrespect to him, I just can't remember them all, but there's no guarantee that we're going to get the top names at that event. Well, if I'm Microsoft and Bill Krackenberger is the CEO, I want the biggest names at my event. One thing about the LIV Tour and their business model that outgrows the current one that the players are under on the regular tour is they signed up in their agreement to all 14 events. So if you're a sponsor at any one of those events, the players that are in your field all will be participating at that tournament. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. So basically,
so in other words, hold on a minute. This is a great analogy. In other words, if you invite the losers are coming to play, you know you're going to automatically get LeBron James, or if it, whatever, if it's race car, NASCAR, you're going to get all the big names. Where on the tour, because of their business model, you're not guaranteed all the big names. On the LIV Tour and their business models, you are guaranteed all the players that they have on their tour currently. Now, speaking of the players that they have, I think it's worthy of a comment on where they're at so far after week one. Well, if you go down the list, I think there's 5 to 7 Masters champions that are out, that are on their tour, and a couple other big name guys. So everybody's saying, well, there's not very many guys out there now. Well, I got to tell you, Bill, if you and I just started, it's not easy to get started in any venture, not to mention a multi-million-dollar golf adventure. But for the first week, I think they did a heck of a job in pulling it off. And now they're ready for what? Week number 2. And guess what's coming? It's like Christmas. It's coming. Eventually, they're going to get more players and more players and more players. I think personally, I mean, just like everybody says, everyone's got their own opinion on it. There's guys that are jealous over the guys that jump ship right away. And some say they took the easy way out. Well, you know what? They took the cash. And that's what it's all about. I mean, I don't caddy for charity. I caddy for cash. And everybody, all those golfers, they play for cash. And the idea is to play for as much as you possibly can. Now, do they want to win titles and put their names on trophies? Of course they do. And do they want them on the most prestigious events in the world? Of course they do. But in the meantime, they still want to be collecting cash. That's the bottom line.
It's hard to argue that.
So you think that there's going to be, from what you just said, you said maybe there's a little jealousy the first week. You think that there's going to be more of the PGA players making the transition over to the LIV tour, it sounds like. And that's probably going to be that's the goal of Greg Norman and the whole LIV tour, is to get these PGA guys over there. And you think that's coming?
Well, I think so. It's like this. If you work for FedEx and you were stealing UPS drivers, the UPS would be upset because they're all going to FedEx. Drive FedEx because they're giving them more money. Well, you know what? That's just what do you call that? Capitalism. Or last time I checked, we lived in a free country.
Excellent, John.
And speaking of free countries, one thing that people get a little bit mixed up in is the politics of all of this. Well, I'm sorry. Sports and politics for years, they've never meshed. They don't go together. Never. No. It's like pairing oil and water together. Oil and water don't go together. Politics and golfers, they don't go. I've been in groups where there have been senators in the groups and congressmen, and whatever side of the fence you were on, you didn't say, oh, I didn't like this guy because he was a Democrat, or I didn't like him because he was a Republican. He's an American. So, as far as the politics, these guys are golfers. They get paid to play golf. They don't get paid to play politics. They don't have that luxury.
That was fantastic, Crack. And now I would like to address all of my degenerate friends that bet on sports. And you know who you are. I won't call you out by name, Larry, Ryan. Anyway, you gotta stop doing it the way you guys are doing it and download the Crack Wins app. You hear this, all that goes into this man's strategy when it comes to betting and managing the bankroll and what not to bet and why, as opposed to Crack. I have all these degenerate friends. I used to be one of them with sports. I don't do it anymore. If I do, I just follow you. The gut feelings, hey, the Dodgers have lost 6 in a row. They have to win tonight. No, they don't. Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
Good, John. Good for you. This is a John Orlando that after 100 episodes, it sounds like you're. No, you got it still. That's very good. Because that's what people think. Oh man, they're 6 in a row. They're going to win tonight. They got it. It's already priced in. People don't realize that those lines are all baked in. What what the public sentiment is, what the people think should happen, what the announcers talk about, what the prognosticators talk about, all these people, it's out there.
Yeah.
So they already know. You're just betting into a square line.
Right. Or like things like, well, the Giants played 12 innings last night, then they had to travel. There's no way they're going to win the day game today. They might.
Listen, I had friends that kept Pete Rose out till 6 a.m. The game started at 1. He was in Atlantic City, had to drive back to Philly. He got 3 hours sleep, and he went 5 for 5, including the game-winning hit. I mean, These are human professional athletes. They're used to travel. They're used to doing those type of road trips and stuff, and conditioned to bet. Conditioned to play in those kind of conditions. So yes, crackwins.com and the Crackwins app. We have a lot of stuff coming up. Listen, in a month, it's going to be really great stuff. About a month or so, the Summer League. Then we get right into literally preseason NFL, and then we're into the NFL props and the NFL totals, first half totals, things that I crushed last season, and I've always crushed props. So these are really good things that the big sports books have up: DraftKings, FanDuel, all the big sports books that are on the WSN, which we're going to talk about in a second. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to the Summer League. Also, we have the golf matchups. We have the NASCAR matchups, which are coming up. Last week was a road course. We only had one, but this week's a regular course again. So should be fun. Crackwins.com.
Well said. And you just mentioned WSN.com. And I had a buddy, again, I actually won't say his name, but he reached out to me. He won $4,000 off of a bonus, off of getting the bonus.
Wow.
I don't remember what site that he was at, but he went through WSN.com and he opened accounts in a bunch of different places. And in one of them, he ended up winning $4,000 on the bonus bet.
Wow. You talk about that. That's interesting. You know, I never talk about this subject. Here's something you guys should do. When you get these free bets, I know you just want to bet, the Yankees minus 170, and, your $1,000 is now only going to win, 600 and some dollars. Honestly, the way you're supposed to bet a free bet is to take an underdog to maximize a free bet. So if you could take something plus 2-1, the 1,000 wins 2,000 instead of winning 600. Mathematically, it's a better bet to bet that underdog. I don't know if your friend bet something like that to win 4,000.
That's exactly what he did.
Oh yeah, you should bet an underdog when you get free bets. You should not be betting favorites.
Take the swing at it, right? Take a shot. It's like you're free rolling. Take a shot at it.
4-1's a little bit too much, but I would look at something like 2-1. Your friend got lucky, and good for him.
Yeah.
So going back to WSN. And you're speaking of bonuses, so we'll start out with that. I'm on there. I'm actually on their phone app, or I'm sorry, their phone version of the site. Right on the front, though, you can click on best U.S. casinos, the state guides. The last one is bonuses. So I click on bonuses, and this is a general bonuses. 1,500 risk-free at Caesars. That's a really good one. How about DraftKings $1,000 deposit bonus? Bet365 also has a nice bonus there right now. These are now the state guides is the one I really like. It's the one next to it, and literally it has every single state with that that's legal in dark blue, legal pending in light blue, and orange. You can see basically it's the whole country. There's only a couple states, California, Utah, that really are abstaining right now, but talks for the future. But then again. You could just go up to the state guide and go to your state. And literally, here's all the states. You just click on their state there. There is Colorado. You click on Colorado and SI Bet, FanDuel, the Caesars, BetMGM, DraftKings, PointsBet. These are thousands and thousands of dollars here that WSN has negotiated for you guys to give you some of the best bonuses in the industry. Now we can go on to the article. The articles there are fantastic. So there's some great articles, great stuff. And good stuff. WSN.com.
That's a winning parlay. Crack wins and WSN.com. Check it out, people.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I think this is a perfect lesson. I was telling Bill yesterday on the phone, to me, this is the perfect lesson in business of the importance of not getting complacent when you are the top dog, right? When you're the MLB or NBA, NFL, or the PGA, you just assume we're untouchable because we are the benchmark, right? And this is a perfect example of what some motivated people and some cash can shake up your entire business literally overnight.
Yeah, well, one thing, and you know what, I agree with you, and people get upset and jealous when those kind of things happen. But let's go back to the fundamentals that I mentioned. Mr. Krackenberger is this: Greg Norman. Greg Norman's nickname is the Shark. If you know anything about the ocean, it's not minnow or a guppy. He's the shark. There's a reason you're called the Shark. that means a shark. What does a shark do in the ocean? He gobbles down everybody. I mean, when Greg Norman
Excellent.
when Greg Norman was playing the tour, I can assure you, I was caddying for Fuzzy Zeller in the mid '90s, and they got paired together quite a few times, and they did battles, and they were great competitors with each other. And I can assure you, they were in the last group at Hartford one year, and they were 10 deep going down the first hole. I'll never forget, a guy had a hat on, a cowboy hat like the shark used to wear, and he had a shark on top of the hat, a stuffed animal shark. And I thought to myself, oh my God, the shark brought a lot of people into the game, and the shark held the number one position for a long time. And I think where there was some mistake, you can't underestimate a guy when his nickname is the Shark. And Sharky was well dressed. I mean, I remember when I was at Bay Hill caddying at Arnold Palmer's tournament, and the Shark flew in on his helicopter, and all the caddies were looking, and he flew in the back of the range, and we were like, okay, that's cool. I mean, the Shark flew in, and of course he had the Shark emblem on the helicopter. I mean, let's face it, the Shark was a major contributor to growing the tour as well during his prime. And I don't think he got the respect that he richly deserved for all of his successes that he had on tour. Okay, so he blew the Masters, and Nick Faldo beat him at a 6-shot lead, and other guys chipped in against him. No one ever mentions the story where Greg Norman chipped in against them. Let me tell you, Fuzzy Zeller had a lead on the Shark going into the 15th hole at Hartford, and we had him. And the Shark missed the green to the right, and Fuzzy hit it right in front of the green. And I thought to myself, we got him. And the Shark chipped it in for a 2, and he beat Fuzzy. And so, the Sharks, I just think, Norman, people could say what you want about it, but when you're at the top, just like you alluded to, people forget you can only go one place when you're at the top. I remember BJ Singh gave me a compliment one time, and he said it on Golf Channel. He said, Cayce's one of the best caddies I ever had in my life. The next day I said, BJ, what'd you say that for? He said, well, what's the matter? He said, it's true. I said, yeah, but I can only go down from there,
Right. That's great. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. And so you're right. You're right. The tour's business model, I'm sorry, it is a little bit outdated. It's like an old house. You need to revamp it. You need to get a new roof. You need to get a new fence around it, throw some grass seed down there, and fix it all up. I mean, do they do a lot of great things around our country and the world growing the game? Of course they do. But that doesn't mean it stops there. And do they give a lot of money to charities? Oh yeah, of course they do. Well, charity starts at home. And I got to tell you, the Cayce Kerr Foundation, if anyone wants to give any money to that foundation, we're definitely receiving, as much as we can. And so, a lot of that, a lot of that's taken out of context. And when you have a new concept like this, there's going to be new winners, and there's going to be, people that are, I don't want to use the word new losers, but I mean, it's got to come from somewhere. Listen to the guy on the Golf Channel, I think, is fantastic. His verbiage and his take on it is Paul McGinley. Now, that guy, he really has it together. He's a great commentator. He has a good take on golf around the world. So I think, as you said, I think they're going to sustain durability. I think they're going to be around, and I think they're going to get more players, and they're going to get quality players. And for that much money, eventually, you'll have the best players in the world. I mean, how can you not? You have the most money to play for, and they'll have to establish some prestige to their tournament names. I mean, the Masters, it's been 1933. One thing about the Masters tournament that people don't, is every year they ask people, what can we do to make it better? What can we do to make it better? So they're always trying to get better. That's why when you go to the Masters tournament, it's the pinnacle of all venues of of sports and golf in the world. It's just, it over delivers. As much as you could think that you're looking forward to it or it's on your bucket list, it exceeds all expectations. They'll get there, but it was only the first week. I mean, anything that we do for the first time, it takes a while to get the kinks out of it, and then eventually it'll be a smooth running ship.
Cayce, this is a major here, U.S. Open. So before we let you go, any insight on this week's tournament? Are you following a little bit? You know who's hot and who's not, or what's going on there? Can you tell us who maybe you may like?
Oh yeah,
there's some.
Yeah, sure.
A couple dogs.
I will say I caddied there in 1988 for Hubert Green. He was paired with Jack Nicklaus on Sunday. That's why I remember it. It was the first time I'd ever been out with Jack Nicklaus, and for me, I thought I'd arrived in life. Being out with Jack Nicklaus Sunday at the U.S. Open. I mean, I watched him on TV when I was a kid, so to be out with him, it was a big day for me. So I'm excited about this week. There's some great history to that course. I understand it's in great condition. I've been watching the Golf Channel. They've been doing a great job on it. I think after last night, I changed my mind. There's no donkeys that win a U.S. Open. Rarely is there a donkey. There's only thoroughbreds, and the three top thoroughbreds right now are John Rahm, Roy McIlroy, and Justin Thomas. And I know they sound like easy chalk favorites, which they are. And then I would throw in Shane Lowry, only because he was close to winning at Oakmont. He has the game for this kind of golf course. There's a lot of Irish contingency up there in Boston, so the crowd could get behind him. And Sam Burns is a guy that's playing real steady and may have what it takes to win a U.S. Open, because as you know, to win a U.S. Open, you have to be tough. You have to have a lot of the shots. You got to keep that ball in play all the time. And as Brandon Chambly and McGinley said on the Golf Channel last night, you have to manage your game accordingly. You have to be in the right sides of the greens, not the sides where you can't get it up and down, which Tiger was so good at for so many years. So the guy that manages his game properly, his course management, that's really smart and intelligent, like Justin Thomas and McIlroy, they're on their game right now, and they have that fundamental in the game. So I think they're going to be tough. I mean, U.S. Opens, look, as I said, donkeys don't win U.S. Open.
They're the three top favorites: McIlroy, Thomas, and Rahm. But Lowry and Burns are around 30-1. So there's a couple dogs there, a couple good 30-1 shots. I see actually could get about 35-1 on Lowry. So at one of the spots here. All right. Well, good, Cayce. But this was great. Some insight on this and a couple picks for this weekend's tournament. And our producer here is going to have some fun cutting a lot of things. You're going in and out. So hopefully that he straightens that out. But we really appreciate you having you on, man. Have a great time down there with your mom.
Okay, you guys, and good to hear from you. And good to hear from you. And okay, thanks for having me on the show. Thank you.
I know I say this about a lot of guests, Crack, but he's one of my favorite guests. And he's made me like golf. I can't even believe I say this, but he makes it exciting.
His takes are good, and he really goes on and on and on. We have to try to cut his. Cayce could talk forever. He could be like your dad in an interview.
Yeah.
We'll have a 2-hour
We should put the two of them together.
So Cayce's great. So he's a great guest, and we had a lot of fun with him, and hope to we hope we put some light on this for you guys out there, and you can see it from someone that's really in the pulse of the PGA Tour and even the LIV Tour. So you have that standpoint.
Well, this one flew by. I know we keep threatening, but are we reunited in the studio next week? Am I out of quarantine?
Next week I'm good. Next week, as long as you and Travis are healthy, because I'm traveling. I'm going back to Jersey for about a month.
Okay.
The following week. So
all right,
sounds good.
I look forward to it. We'll see you guys next week on Wisecracks.